Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
Jeez. I'm gonna say this before. I'm not even gonna grade yet, but just some uh thoughts, especially with the ending. The ending is by far the best portion of this movie. And usually I'll hate a character that sits there and explains the fucking story to me, but he didn't. It wasn't exactly that. I think he was like explaining psychology to the audience in a way, and it came off as like fitting. Like it worked. It worked very well actually. Even though like once again it's very explanatory, but I think it worked very well. And then Norman sitting there with his mom's voice, in his head, like, they'll never suspect a woman like me. He gets in the camera's like slowly creeping in towards his face, right? Which I think is that's something where I'd be like, okay, even in modern times, these directors don't think to do shit like that. Granted, it wasn't the greatest fucking thing ever, but it's like still like a little element where you're piercing further into Norman's, kind of, batshit mind, right? So like, okay, that ending was the best part of this entire movie. The ending is better than the entire series of Bates Motel. But yeah, that ending hit home. By the way, reviewing the movie Psycho from 1960, right? I think it's 1960. Yeah, 1960. And yeah, that ending was really good, man. I liked the way he explained it. Like I thought that worked very well, man. It's very like suspenseful too, and like actually pulls your attention in and shit like that. Now,
He didn't do exactly like a narration or like or a lot of times they just kind of spill out like facts as if they were reading a script to like just explain it.
yeah,
He told a story all on its own. Like that that was a story all by itself.
exactly,
Just
exactly. That is exactly it. That was like he's explaining Norman, but he's like doing it also with like a storytelling, subtle type of way. Where he's like, "Well, that's what I mean by it was his mom who did it." Like he explained all of it first, and like he like set it up, and then like full blown explained it, right? To an
he
entire
set up the
room.
mystery.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the audience, like we watched Beach Motel first,
yeah,
or at least before this, but the audience didn't see Norman dressed as Norma until that last scene where he got caught. He's- So
yes,
so so it's just kind of like fresh. Like it just looked like his mother was killing him in a weird way, uh
yes,
but yeah, so the audience is hit with that, and then they present the guy to like really go into the psyche, and this is before um Fight Club, Mr. Robot, all of these, like this theme has been covered in a lot of different things after,
oh yeah,
um, but I think this was like um at least before I would think this is unique.
well, yeah. From the time period, I can't say I know because I've not seen enough content in that time period. But I wouldn't
Yeah,
be surprised if it was, or if it was unique. I wouldn't be surprised by that. From at least the time period, I would not be surprised by that. Uh, yeah, like that would have been a way worse scene if it was just Norman in his head explaining what happened, like where he's just strictly just talking like I don't know, maybe like a conflict of voices in his head. He's like, "You are me, I am you," some fucking kind of corny shit like that. I think that would have been way worse. But having this guy, even though granted he's not really in the movie, but it's like an outside. It's the writer entering the script himself, to where everyone in the room and the entire audience watching from the theater or whatever are invited. Like, this guy's explaining it all. Like, we're all sitting around a campfire hearing a fucking horror story almost. Like, it was like,
Yeah.
it's just well executed. It really was. There's some other cool things, some cool cinematic things. Like, you could tell they had the girl, the sister, right? When she found the mom's body, she screamed, and her hand, like, you could tell she did it on purpose, but the point was that she did it accidentally. She hit the light by accident and would swing through the room and change the shadows, directions, and all that shit, and the lighting, and the like. That was a pretty cool fucking element there, I would say. But there's a lot of shit that is outdated in this movie. 100% outdated. Or, like, you know, like, it's like, oh, we could do that better, or we could do this better, or you guys can't use as much blood. The acting was actually alright. It was actually alright. Although the Norman guy did a little bit over the top sometimes. A little too much to be like, I'm lying, I'm lying, I'm lying. Like, he's basically just saying, I'm lying over and over again, even though he's saying different words, right? But he's, like, overly doing, like, stuttering and looking around and shit. Like, it's overly done, I think. Where someone could just do that way more subtle. You just put the camera on their face, and you get an idea that someone's, like, probably hiding something from the other character that's in the room with them, right? So, like, there's some technical things where it's like, it's kind of outdated, but there's some technical things that are fucking beautiful. Like I said, some of the lighting in that lighting shot, bro, with the light bulb swinging in the room as it's revealed that the mom is just a corpse, bro. It's like, holy shit, and the lights swinging back and forth is just like, that's like pure. It's pure horror, bro. That's at the core of it. And
I
obviously,
like that you said that it was accidental.
well, they were trying to make it accidental. You could see she, like, kind of hit it on purpose of it, but, like, the point is that it was accidental, and it, like, created this element in the room, right? It added something to something that's already kind of, I guess, horrific, right? It's still adding another element of, like, the way the light's moving around in the room is like, holy, it, like, fucking fits perfectly with it. So,
Yeah. Well, that's why I like that you said it was accidental, because, well, the lighting is one of the most important things, like, throughout the movie. Like, they're so intentional with this, like, with how light, and, well, it is black and white also, right? But um the whole time, like from the beginning, they're in the bank, and you really notice when there's this transitionary stage, and she's driving in the rain, and it gets so blurry. Like, you're like, how can she possibly drive? Like, it's just insanely rainy, right? Like, you can't see anything.
yeah.
There was no lights, and all of this, and then there was a lot of close-ups, especially the amount of close-ups, like, right on the face. Sometimes with
Yeah.
with her driving, sometimes when they're confronting each other, or just like, or when she was with the police officer, they were
Yep.
really close-up shots, but
And her paranoia. It was pretty close-up shots where she's like, "Oh my god, they're gonna figure me out. I'm gonna get caught." Like, she's like having those thoughts, like hearing, like, the characters, like, "Yeah, this chick stole like 40." Like she has it in her imagination that she's gonna get caught or whatever. And they did they were close up on her while she was driving. That too. Sorry
yeah,
to cut you
yeah,
off.
exactly. So sometimes it's like to see, like, okay, now you're in their mind, or sometimes it's like, it's just with the police officer, close-ups. They were just to make you uncomfortable. Like, you're not supposed to be that close to somebody, right? So like, there was a lot of intentional lighting that was, I think, like, I feel like there's not enough of that in, like, we CGI some things, we do, like, a lot of, like,
Filters and shit like that.
superficial things,
Yeah.
and
You know,
miss the
without the
details.
good lighting, you wouldn't have been able to see Norman's dick rest. So
Fair enough. Yeah. Another scene that pulls me in is when she's on the bathroom floor and she's dead, right? And they kind of slow zoom backwards, and they're turning the camera as it's happening, or whatever effect they use there, right? They're like unwinding to see like, oh, this lady's fucking like dead. It's like it's a cool shot. It's obviously not a hot chick murdered is not cool, but like the shot they got with that was fucking cool. It's pretty cool. Like it was a little too. I think it was a little too fast and not close enough. Because maybe if you get too close with the older cameras, it just blurs out and fucks up or something. But that's a cool horror shot right there. Pretty cool.
Still won't give it an 8.6.
No, not for me. But I will recommend the movie. I'll recommend it, especially if you watch Bates Motel, or you want to get into Alfred Hitchcock or these older films and all that shit. Fuck yeah, I recommend it. But once again, there's gonna be things that are kind of out of date. They're out of date, and you might get turned off by that. Don't get turned off by that. Just stay with it. And the ending, I think, is such a fucking payoff. Like the way it was done, I think, was such a payoff that I think it's all worth it. And there's not so many shots that are just like, oh my god, what is this horrible thing? Like, nah, it's like few and far between. It's not so many of them, but they're noticeable. And you'll probably be able to, even if you've never seen Bates Motel, you might be able to guess certain things. If I had to guess, this is my opinion. You'd probably be able to guess.
It made a series?
Yeah, on A&E.
That's gay. That's some Disney ass shit.
Don't get thrown off with outdated, like the rotary phone, I think throw you off.
No, that's not the throw off. There's certain things, like with the guys falling down the stairs, and you can tell he's just standing still and going, whoa! and they're just showing like a background image get closer to him, like he's falling backward. I mean, people do that, but they use like modern days, they'll just have some sort of camera kind of attached to you and use like a fisheye lens, and then fucking give you the illusion that someone's falling straight backwards or whatever the fuck, right? Just the way that looks, like you can tell, is like it just looks kind of bad. It's just out of date looking, like the shot of it. And there's certain things with, like I said, with some of the acting, especially with the Norman guy, where you're like, okay, we know what's going on. Like even if you'd never seen Bates Motel, you'd probably be able to pick up like where that guy's at. And, yeah. And there's one scene of like just blatant subversion, and that's when the lady, the girl that shows up at Bates Motel first, right? And she's like looking out the window, and somehow she can hear Norman and his mom arguing all the way in the house somehow, right? And if I had to guess, they can't just do shouting because it'll distort the fucking microphones. Like it'll fuck it up. Maybe because of the quality of the product back then. I don't know. But it's subversion in the sense of his mom's actually dead at this point, and how the fuck are you hearing? How the fuck are you hearing his mom and him argue? Unless they're saying she didn't hear that, but like the way she was looking out there, and the way she's like, almost like she was like eavesdropping on two people having a conversation or arguing with each other. That's the effect they gave, but yet there's only one person there. Unless Norman, when he turns into his mom, just absolutely copies her voice like to a T. Sounds like an actual old lady all of a sudden. Unless that's the case, like it's kind of like, yeah, it's pretty bad looking. That's not good.
Well, that is what they were saying. At least the way they portrayed it, yeah, it was kind of.
Yeah.
It is impossible to hear from that far away, but the reason that that's what they were saying is because she told him right after. She talked to him about the conversation, and he was acknowledging that, like her personality. So yeah, like the voice wouldn't carry that much, but that's what they were trying to do. That he was speaking both sides, and I guess when he was at the end, it was the same voice. The one is in his head, so I guess he just speaks it.
Okay, but that makes sense that it's in his head, but him saying it out loud to where she hears it, how does she hear a different person Like, was his vocal work that good that he actually sounded like an old woman? That's where I'm like, that's the thing I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's subvert. Yeah,
Super subversion, right? To like make you think there's an actual other person there for the audience's sake. Right?
yeah. For the surprise at the end,
Yes.
they did that.
Yes. But yeah, it's an alright movie. All right. I'd really like that ending though. The ending was really good to me. All right, let me grade this motherfucker. Now I like that there's psychology in the movie. Like they're talking about psychology, but it doesn't seem so much as like the point of the movie. I think psychology is more of a tool to explain something crazy happening instead of like the point is to say something about psychology. That hurts it a little bit for me, but it's still an alright movie. It's alright. I'm going to grade this a solid 7.3. 7.2, 7.3 out of 10. It's a solid grade. It's just, I could see what upgrading
It's an original.
would look like. I can see that. Well, I don't basically, I get it. Like I'll look at things like budget, right, or like kind of the time period you're in. But when I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at genre, and guess what? There's things that that the creators could have not done in this movie, and it would have made the grade improve by quite a bit. I think if they just avoided certain things, maybe
Fair enough.
like maybe the thing like maybe even the mom's fucking skeleton, right? Maybe back then it's like, oh my god, a skeleton. But today we'd be like, that ain't shit, bro. I seen John Wick 4 times already. I seen fucking headshots and eviscerations and Denzel duct taping people's hands to cars and shit like that, and grenades up the asshole and all that shit, bro. Like we're desensitized to that. But what you could do is you could have really played with the lighting of her scene, like almost like a quiet reveal. Like that could have been technically done with the equipment and all the shit they had. It's just he didn't do it. Maybe he didn't think to do it, right? So that's why it's like it's not in masterpiece territory for me. I understand it's a classic and it's gonna be graded high because it came first. I get that. As far as like IMDb is concerned, I think it's like an 8.5 on there. But it's like there's a lot of movies that are rated lower than that on IMDb that are significantly better than this movie. Let's just be honest. It is what it is. Now maybe they're taking the shit that these guys did back then and they're upgrading it just like, oh, just by reflective property. Like, oh, I see what they're doing here, so I'm gonna do something different that I think looks better. Like it's just like hindsight almost. Like I know more, so I can do more type of thing. But still, I still have to judge it as a movie on its own. It's not make the movie bad. It's just saying like, well, here's some elements you could have put in here that you didn't, and thus you suffer the penalty of that. Especially that guy falling down the stairs. That was fucking hilarious looking. I'm not going to penalize him for not being able to use blood. That's not one of my reasons of why I would lower the score at all. Because they couldn't use blood like that. So I'm not going to fucking judge that shit. But there are cinematic things you can do with a camera, with the equipment they have right there that they could have did, and they didn't do it. As far as like what I could imagine as being possible. So that's where my scores stay right there. 7.2, 7.3. I think that's a solid score.
It's a good score.
Very good. Anyone else would like to go? Please go ahead. No? Fuck.
I was moved by the police officer scene. He was scaring me. But other than that, yeah, no, I just recommend it for sure. It was good.
Solid movie, man. It really is.
I'd recommend it.
Oh yeah, I already did. I recommend as well. And not just for time period pieces, just for there's certain elements that they do in here that you don't get anymore. You don't get in fucking modern movies, straight up. And that's why those guys suffer the penalty of shit that they can do here that these fools aren't doing. And it's not about equipment. It's about an eye for things, as far as like at least my opinion of it, right? Like it's an eye for things that they're just like not willing to go towards that these guys did. Then the same thing works vice versa. There's certain things that some modern movies do that these guys didn't have in their movie. It's not based on equipment, right? It's not based on IMAX cameras. It's based on little technique things that, for me, I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool, or awesome, or sophisticated, or whatever the fuck, right? I'm not dumping on the movie. I'm just saying that's just where I'm at.
So who was the psycho in the movie? Was he just a bad guy? Or
Well, there was no technically psycho, like the definition of psychopathic or sociopathic or any of that shit. I don't think I saw that.
okay.
Right? Because Norman was very emotional, right? He's a very emotional guy, seemingly. Where he's like very neurotic and nervous at certain moments when he's getting questioned, right? And also his quote unquote relationship with his mom, right? Even though we don't get like Bates Motel version of his relationship, but you get like an idea of what he's like with his mom, right? Even if it's just happening in his own head or, him talking to himself in a certain way. He has an emotional reaction towards her. Pretty sure. So, but I guess, yeah. maybe that's why we say that. We just like, oh, like a character like the Joker. Yeah, that guy's just a psycho. What does psycho mean? He just kills. He's crazy. He kills people.
Yeah.
He's crazy. That's what it means.
But who's the bad guy?
Term.
There's Norman, obviously, but even the victim was a thief. Like she just took $40,000.
Yeah,
was on the run.
that was just kind of missing too from the movie. But yeah, I didn't fully understand her motives for taking the money. So maybe the guy was like a perv or something. The cowboy was a pervert or something, or
There was the cowboy character that was.
or she wanted to start a new life with the other guy she was having an affair with. Whatever.
The cowboy was like, like the camera and everything did it. Like he was just a jerk, right? Just made his character.
Yeah. I heard banging 18-year-olds.
She
and
was
shit.
super hot though.
This
I
is
would
true.
rate her a 9.1.
Shut up. Stop it. All right. Anyone else want to say anything about the movie Psycho from 1960? Going once. Going twice. Sold. All right, guys. There's our review for the 1960 classic Psycho.